Kia ora, another fine start for many parts of New Zealand. Plenty of clear sky across the South Island. You can see on these satellite charts. Up north, you can see that we have still got more cloud around Wairarapa up in towards Hawke's Bay. This area of low pressure sticking with us another day or so. It's going to carry on bringing more cloud and showers in towards that eastern coast of the North Island through the daytime. While down south, we've got a few showers springing up through parts of Otago, perhaps one or two heavier ones as we head through this afternoon. The next feature is going to be this front that runs up across parts of Fiordland and Southland through the night time, brings some cloud and some patchy rain or showers, even into those far southern parts of Canterbury by the end of the night and into those early hours of Thursday. But for the North Island, it's a fine, dry looking night. Plenty of clear sky sticking with us, and even on that eastern side, that cloud should clear away as well. Overnight temperatures down as low as about 13 degrees Celsius in those central parts of the North Island, and not an awful lot cooler, even down in the far southern parts of the South Island, down to around about 11 degrees Celsius for parts of central Otago. As we head in towards Thursday, this front continues to move northwards. It does weaken away, but we will find some showers springing up through the daytime through parts of Canterbury, even up and towards Marlborough. And some of those ones we'll find inland could be on the sharp side, especially south of about, say, Ashburton. We'll find one or two heavy, perhaps even thundery ones across those more inland parts of Canterbury and down in towards Otago. And then another front moves up from the south, brings more cloudy conditions towards the end of the day in the far southern parts there, and more cloud back on towards that western coast. The North Island, I've not forgotten about you. It's generally a much more settled story. It's a fine, dry start for many of us. A bit of patchy cloud pushing through towards those more eastern coasts of Northland. But really, as we head through the daytime on Thursday, it's a fine, dry and sunny story for most of us. There will be a few showers that spring up about the ranges of Tairāwhiti, and towards the end of the day we'll find more cloud pushing back towards those western facing coasts, and into the evening and overnight we'll find a few showers starting to spring up across parts of, say, Taranaki, particularly for those places like New Plymouth pointing out towards the west. And we'll also find down towards Horowhenua and up in towards Kapiti Coast and more cloud through there and a few showers towards the end of the day. But for many of us it is a dry looking story for Thursday, and our temperatures still reaching into the mid to the high 20s as well, particularly in those areas out towards the north and the east. So places like those eastern coasts of Northland down towards the Coromandel and the Bay of Plenty doing pretty well with their temperatures highs around about 26 or 28 degrees Celsius. And you'll notice it's still relatively warm through the night times as well. Places like Auckland, not much below about 18 degrees Celsius through the night time into those early hours of Friday morning. Down south, Wellington, looking like a 22-degree day. I think we'll find a touch more cloud in the capital later on, but generally staying dry. Down for the South Island, if you're looking for the best of the sunshine, head to places like Nelson, a great place to be. More cloud down south, especially across those southern parts of Canterbury. And we are going to find a few showers springing up through the afternoon. Once again, places like Otago and up in towards Canterbury and in towards those inland ranges of Marlborough as well. And you can see those darker blues, a good indication that some of those will be fairly heavy, perhaps even with the odd rumble of thunder for those more inland areas. So do keep an eye on the radar charts there. By the end of the day, these next features moving up from the south will push more cloud back on towards that western coast, and also some wetter weather back in towards Southland and Otago. So we are looking at things becoming a bit cloudier once again by the end of the day. But for places like Southland and Otago, although you get some good dry intervals, there will be spots of rain on and off through the daytime as well. Now, you can see we've got a fair bit of activity down south. That's something we'll come back to when we take a look at the weather for Friday. You can see not only the best of the weather up in Nelson, but also some of the best of the temperatures as well. 25 degrees Celsius for you, also across in towards Blenheim as well. 25 degrees Celsius there. A little bit cooler down south, especially places like Dunedin, 16 degrees Celsius. And I think that's a bit of an indication of what we're going to find as we head through in towards the rest of, at least the first couple of days of February. It is going to be a fairly cool start to the second month of the year. So here we are as we go in towards Friday, where you can see we have this wet weather moving up that western coast, more heavy rainfall places like Westland and Buller. By the end of the day, it runs up towards the North Island. Now ahead of that, we've got some very strong winds for a time through like the Canterbury High Country during Friday morning, but also around the likes of the Cook Strait area, so around the Marlborough Sounds, across in towards Wellington, Wairarapa. We'll find those winds picking up, but even up towards those more northern parts of the country, we'll find this system runs up, bringing windier and wetter, more unsettled weather and a cooler feel as we head towards towards the end of the day on Friday. So it's going to be one to watch. It's going to be a really different start to February than compared to the last few days we've had in January. We're going to find our winds turn direction. We've also got some wetter weather back with us, especially for those western facing areas. You can see we've still got some heavier rainfall there for Bulla, also towards the Taura Range and some of those higher parts on the North Island by the end of the day. So places like the Central Plateau and those eastern ranges of the Bay of Plenty. But for Friday at least, we've got a few watches in place for heavy rainfall. We're looking at areas like the ranges of Western, also in towards the ranges of Bulla. As we go through the daytime, from about 4 a.m. to about 4 p.m, we could well find this warning amounts to enough to give us a cause to issue a warning for those areas. We may well find some more watches and warnings issued for those higher parts of the North Island as well. But it's not just the wet weather. We've also got those winds really ramping up across New Zealand, a much more blustery, unsettled spell of weather to start February. We'll find those winds picking up, particularly for a time through the Canterbury High Country, first thing in the morning, but really in through the likes of Cook Strait. So around the Marlborough Sounds, in towards Wellington, Wairarapa, we'll find those winds perhaps reaching severe gale in the most exposed areas. And you can see we've still got some fairly windy conditions across the rest of the North Island as we head towards the end of the day on Friday. So it is going to be a fairly windy old story. It's well worth keeping an eye on the forecast, especially as we head through Friday and Saturday. A cooler feel as well. We're going to find at last some much cooler nights as well. But I think definitely a bit of a different story for those first couple of days in February compared to the rather settled days we've just had. That's it from me. This is from metservice.com.